Hello, everybody. My name is Concerned Political. And what a world we live in, you know? Probably the most connected, least racist generation of humanity ever, but our problems are still not fixed, and new problems rise. We've reached the point where we don't know who to look to. When you watch Obama's speech, you feel like you've heard the same words. Because you have. Because you've heard speeches like that 1,000 times over. When you look at the video footage of some of these shootings, it sparks anger and hate and distrust on both sides of the aisle. But I think, from a standpoint where we need to make progress, actual progress, I feel like we're going about this the wrong way as a society. We keep calling on our officers. You need more body cameras, more tasers, more non-lethals. But we don't stop and say, should we tell those rappers to stop saying fuck the police in their songs? We don't stop and say, should we tell the celebrities and the politicians to stop calling the police racist in their media and their coverage and their promotionals? You know? How can you expect the police to change? If a police officer were going through the comments on some of these videos on YouTube, I don't know how they would show up to work the next day, saying the only good pig is a dead pig, saying cops are no good, we should kill them all. Where do you think that makes a police officer think? Do you think that makes a police officer feel more safe, feel more inclined to be kinder to you if you say that? Do you think a police officer feels more motivated to protect you and to please you, to make you happy, if you stick up your middle finger while they drive down the block? You know, this world is just unique. Because this is a problem that I haven't seen happen in any other country in the world. To the extent that it's happening here, where we have riots, where we have protests, where we have multiple parts of this group, where we have people who are completely pro-cop, and we have people who are completely anti-cop, and we have people who are pro-black and who are anti-black, and we have all these forces, and it doesn't seem like there's any common ground. Everybody wants the fighting to stop, but everybody wants to do it in a different way. Pro-cop people are saying it's the communities that have to change. The pro-black is saying, oh, we need the police to change. The people stuck in the middle are saying both need to change. But of course, neither one wants to change. They act like putting a black police chief is different from a white police chief. Sure, it makes the community feel better, but it doesn't do much of a difference. You don't see the police chief every day. You don't see the police chief driving down your block. You know, you look at Dallas and you think, those 5 officers had no reason to die. They were not the ones who were racially profiling. They weren't the ones who were committing treason towards the badge, you know. And I think to myself, well, it's not that the people are angry towards these specific police officers. It's they're angry at the whole institution. But the thing people don't realize is you're asking a lot of officers. If you ask an officer to put on a body camera, that's undermining their work. Imagine if every student out there needed to wear a body camera. That way you couldn't cheat, you couldn't copy homework. How would that make 50%, 60, 70% of students out there? High school students, middle school, even college students, if they had to wear body cameras, and all of a sudden you'll see grades slip and drop like a rock. Imagine if every realtor or every accountant or every delivery man had to wear a body camera. That undermines your work. And people seem to think that the police need to change. Even despite people saying fuck the police, despite people calling for the police officers to die. Despite that, people believe that the police need to change even further. Well, let me ask you something. Imagine you're a construction worker, or a foreman, or an architect, or something like that. And this guy, who calls for construction unions to be disbanded, who calls for construction workers to wear body cameras, who calls for construction workers to have to work longer hours, work more precise, and get projects done quicker. Now imagine that person comes up to you and says, I want a good building done. Now imagine that person says, oh, and I want to pay the same price as the other person who supports the construction union, who supports their own supports the hours that the construction workers already have, and who doesn't put time limits on them. Now imagine that. Which of those two people, customers, would you, as the foreman or as the architect or whatever, go towards? The one who supports you, who's nice to you the whole time, or the one who, when you look at his Facebook page, is calling for you to testify on Capitol Hill for failing bridges and roads? It's very obvious that we're asking too much without delivering ourselves. And we talk a lot about double standards, you know, between black people and white people in the justice system and all that. But isn't this a double standard that we're holding the police towards? And I understand they have to be more responsible. They have lives in their hands, very literally. And I understand that. But we can't take their humanity away. We can't undermine their work. We can't just make them feel like they're just there. The police are a privilege, okay? There are tons of countries out there that wish they had a quarter of the police force that this country has. That wishes they had a police force as dedicated as ours, as intelligent as ours. A lot of people seem to think, oh, the police aren't doing a good job. How are they not doing a good job? There are literally thousands of investigations open all across the country. You might be under investigation and you wouldn't even know about it. And why are there so many investigations? Because they're trying to stop, and they have stopped. There was going to be a bombing plot in Dallas in the 1990s. There was going to be, I believe it was a pickup truck full of explosives. It was going to be driven to the parking garage, the underground parking garage of one of the skyscrapers in Dallas. And the FBI intercepted it. They intercepted that terrorist. And although it's true they can't stop every single one because they don't have the manpower and the funding to do so, but again, we ask too much without delivering ourselves as a community, as a society, you know? If people stop saying that the police are bad, that the police are terrible, and just give them a smile when they pass by, make them feel like their life isn't in danger when they walk up to your window during a traffic stop. If society makes them feel that way, that's how that racial prejudice goes down. And I understand police officers shouldn't be racially prejudiced. They shouldn't be biased. But the reality is, who wouldn't be in that situation? I feel like society needs to change like that. But also at the same time, the police need to change. We need police shifts to rotate. We need police officers to rotate. I'm talking about urban areas like my own. Like, transition them out, you know? Have officers rotate amongst districts and precincts and all that. So that way they don't get racially prejudiced. So that way they deal with both white people and black people and Latino people. Move them from a Latino neighborhood maybe this month to an African American neighborhood the next month to a white neighborhood the month after that. And I understand that's a lot of paperwork and that's a lot of work. And that could be contradictory. But if you do that, and the officer sees that, okay, there's white people committing crimes too. There's black people committing crimes and there's Hispanic people committing crimes. Everybody commits crimes equally. Guess what? That's not racial bias. There we go. We have the problem fixed. And in these smaller communities, you just have to... That's where the focus on the community should be more important. Because the community in these smaller ones is everything. And once the community shows that they have no hostilities towards police, then the police will have no hostilities towards them. It's just that simple, people. And I understand it's hard to work in that situation because you know you're already being racially prejudiced. But one of the two sides needs to start this. And unfortunately, if the police start this, it's not going to end up any better. Be concerned. Be political.